Sejam todos bem-vindos e bem-vindas à cerimônia de abertura oficial do GROW 2025. Para o discurso de boas-vindas, convidamos o professor Marcelo Zufo.
Bem-vindo a todos. Welcome to everyone. I will shift to English. It's an immense pleasure receiving this great community to GROW 2025. I remember having a meeting with Mr. Peter. Where is Peter? Peter, are you there? So we had a very exciting discussion at CES Vegas this year. Me, Peter, and Alessandro. Where is Alessandro? Hi. And then that happened. The dream of organizing a state-of-art open source RISC-V conference in Brazil. We have a wonderful agenda this week. Professor Lucas, where is Lucas? He will give us a showcase of the agenda. We have several professors from US, Europe, and a huge delegation from China. Guido is in there. Hi, Guido. Guido had a key participation behind the scenes, organizing. We have John Hall. John is our mentor at USP on open source. And I would like to emphasize that we will have two gala dinners. Considering the big international representation, mostly from China, we'll have the Chinese gala dinner tonight, and we'll have a Brazilian gala dinner tomorrow. Everyone is invited. It's a very special event. So please confirm with our people to guarantee seats to everyone. So I will just ask people to confirm its presence tonight. I will, at this moment, do an announcement. Fabio, are you in there? Where are you, Fabio? Yeah, para tocar o vídeo. With the support of the Ministry of Science and Technology, I'm honored to present to you our first RISC-V board, fully designed in Brazil. We call the Poodle, and it's running a RISC-V core in 200, 300 megahertz. And the board is very exciting because it also supports crypto, and it supports AI. This board is intended to have a dual mode. It's qualified to run to industry, in drones, in autonomous vehicles, Industry 4.0, but also, particularly this one, we did that to be distributed among children in Brazil, to create a digital transformation among the young kids, boys and girls, that are interested in AI, RISC-V, and open technologies. And John is behind the scenes. John is the guy with the vision that 8 years ago convinced Brazil that we need to jump to this technology. And I have a small video here. I will do some suspense. So in this board, tá com som? So here is the boot of the board. We fully ported the Zephyr operating system from Linux Foundation. And it was supposed to have a sound here. Yeah, from you. From 2001. But here it is the full board working. Along the week, we will show this board for people, and we'll discuss in the keynotes what it's about. Okay. That is the end of my speech. Thank you for coming.
Convidamos agora o professor Yungang Bao, da Bosch.
Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Yungang Bao from Institute of Computing Technology, Chinese Academy of Sciences. So it is my honor to be here to join the Grow 2025. So I made some slides to introduce the workshop. Yes, so this time, actually, the Grow workshop, we have prepared the Grow workshop over the past 7 months. So this was the first time. On December 18th, 2024, Mr. Hamilton, Mr. Alonso, Mr. Hercule, and Mr. Rambers, they visited BOSC, Beijing Institute of Open Source Chip, and yes, we launched the initial collaboration exchanges. So, and then almost 1 month later, and we proposed the three-party workshop. So this is Brazil, China, and Europe, so involving 3 regions. And then on the January 8th and 2025, Mr. Peter Chen, Peter, where are you? Yeah, Peter actually he had the first online meeting with Professor Gato from UNICAP to initialize the workshop. And then next month, on the January 23rd, and Professor Gato together with Professor Zufo, yes, and also from Dr. Alexander, so confirmed that yes, we can implement the plan for Grow in Brazil. And for Chinese side, we started to first I'm volunteered to be the co-chair. And Filippo Tonish from Europe, he also joined the organizing committee as a co-chair. And then, yes, this is a veto point. This is on the January 31st on 2025. Actually, this is the 3rd day of the Chinese New Year. Yes, on that day, and we have the first three-party meeting among the Brazil, China, and Europe. And then after that, we can see that we here, over the 7 months, we exchanged more than 200 mails and had 9 three-party online meetings. And for Chinese side, we invited 30 experts, and finally 18 arriving in person. Today, we have 18 Chinese experts here, and 2 they are sharing insights online. They will give online presentations. I also want to give special thanks to Ministry Chancellor Jiang Dehua, and he's from the Chinese Embassy in Brazil, and he is also attending the Grow here. Okay, so I want to give some special thanks to the list. Yes, I want to thank every member of the organizing committee for their hard work, and I appreciate for the strong support from the MCTI, and we are also grateful for the support from Brazil's 2 universities, yes, and the Chinese Academy of Science and BOSC, and Europe's Philip and his team. And a special thanks to Professor Geda and Professor Zufo, and for their driving the collaboration forward to driving the collaboration. And I also want to special thanks to Mr. Lucas and Anshu, yes, and Peter for their organizations. So RISC-V is a bridge, and RISC-V also open the door for the collaboration between multiple regions. We look forward to RISC-V, the collaboration in RISC-V in the future. So enjoy Grow 2025. Thanks.
Ouviremos agora o professor Lucas Wanner, co-chair do programa e também professor da Unicamp.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lucas Wanner. I'm one of the program chairs for GROW. And this morning, I'd like to give you a brief overview of what we can expect in our program. So we have a very loaded program over 3 days. We'll have 8 keynotes and 1 recorded interview from international experts. We'll have a total of 8 technical sessions with 30 talks by leading researchers in topics including RISC-V design, software and hardware stack, security, design methodologies, EDA. So a wide variety of topics related to open hardware and open software. Later today, we'll have a panel discussion on open source software and hardware as global drivers of innovation. And the whole conference will be organized in a fully hybrid format. So we'll have some speakers talking to us remotely, and we'll have some people attending online as well. Let me start by highlighting some of our keynotes. We have a great lineup of speakers, starting with Professor David Patterson from Berkeley, who will join us remotely on Wednesday, Professor Yungang Bao, Professor Xiang Xu from the Chinese University of Hong Kong, Andrea Gallo from RISC-V International, Guy Lemieux from the University of British Columbia, who will be joining us tomorrow afternoon, John Hall, of course, from Linux International, and then Professors Marcelo Zufo from the University of São Paulo and Professor Guido Araújo from the University of Campinas. Today at lunch, we'll be playing a recorded interview with Luca Benini from ETH Zurich. Peter interviewed him and asked him a series of very interesting thought-provoking questions on the future of RISC-V, the challenges and opportunities. So look forward to that. It's a very interesting conversation. Later today as well, we'll have a panel, as I said, on open source software and open hardware as a global opportunity to accelerate innovation. So we'll have joining that panel Andrea Gallo, Professor Zufo, Professor Bao, and Alessandro Campos from the Ministry of Science and Technology in Brazil. This panel will be moderated by Philip Tomzich, who is also one of our organizers here. Having a broad look of our sessions, we'll start today with strategic perspectives for RISC-V. We'll go over software stack, runtime systems. We'll have a whole set of talks on scalable design, design integration, EDA tools, EDA optimization, and topics as far-reaching as trusted execution and security. So you can all check the details on our program for all these 8 technical sessions, but we've got a whole set of great talks for you to look forward to. This is our overview. I don't want to spend too much time here, but we'll usually start our days with keynotes. We'll move on to technical sessions. Today and on Wednesday, we'll have activities during lunch here in the space. So today we'll play the Luca Benini interview. On Wednesday, we'll have the keynote by Patterson. We start the afternoons with keynotes, and then we end the day with technical sessions and a panel. The full program is available on our website, grow.ic.unicamp.br, and you can also scan this QR code for a link to the webpage. Just some final reminders for speakers. If you are a speaker in any of the sessions during the event, please check the program to find your session. Please upload your slides before the session. Otherwise, we'll have the same kind of issue I just did here, so I apologize for that. If you're a session chair, right, we assigned several session chairs based on your expertises. If you're a session chair, please come up to the stage a few minutes before your session starts so we can get it set up. And please check the speaker info document that we sent via email for more details. Again, the program is available on this QR code and on grow.ic.unicamp.br. I'd like to briefly thank our sponsors, the Ministry of Science, Technology, and Innovation in Brazil, IEEE Region 9, the Brazilian Computing Society, São Paulo Research Foundation, Softex, Abicemi, SB Micro, Chipas, HIT, and Eldorado. And of course, we thank you, all of you who made Grow possible as speakers and on joining us here. Thank you so much and have a great event.
Recado importante, o dono do Fiesta preto da placa FRY 7B50 precisa ser retirado, porque está em local indevido. Convidamos agora para suas palavras o ministro conselheiro para os temas de ciência e tecnologia da Embaixada da China no Brasil, o senhor Jiang Derua.
Distinguished Secretary Mr. Ricky de Oliveira Miguel, Distinguished Professor Marcelo Zufo, Distinguished Professor Bao, Distinguished President Rogério Duaer Giacomini Nunes, Distinguished President Wu. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, bom dia. It's a great honor to attend the opening ceremony of the first Global RISC-V Open Workshop 2025. On behalf of the Embassy of the People's Republic of China in Brazil, I would like to extend warm congratulations on the successful organization of this event, and sincere greetings to all friends who have long been committed to promoting Brazil-China cooperation in science and technology and the development of open-source chip technologies. This workshop brings together researchers from Brazil, China, and across Europe and South America to discuss cutting-edge technologies and explore open collaboration. It highlights the shared expectations of the global scientific community for the development of the open-source chip ecosystem and reaffirm that science and technology are bridges that connect the world and promote cooperation. Ladies and gentlemen, as the digital economy rapidly evolves, chip architecture is at the forefront of a new wave of transformation. The open-source RISC-V architecture is a key force in this change. RISC-V not only offers greater freedom and customization in chip design, but also provides unique advantage in security, autonomy, and energy efficiency. It's quickly become a key focus for both global industries and the economy. China is making swift progress in the field of open-source chips. Universities, research institutes, and enterprises are actively contributing to the RISC-V ecosystem. For example, the Chinese Academy of Science Xiangshan project promotes high-performance open-source RISC-V CPU design, attracting numerous developers, and the Beijing Open Source Chip Research Institute is working to build a complete ecosystem that supports industry application of open source chips. Brazil and China enjoy a long-standing and a fruitful partnership in science and technology. From the early days of cyber satellite projects to current cooperation in space weather, nanotechnology, and new energy, our cooperation has delivered tangible benefits to both countries and set an example for South-South cooperation. In recent years, with high-tech Chinese companies such as Huawei and the BYD expanding their presence in Brazil, bilateral cooperation in emerging fields such as the digital economy, artificial intelligence, and a new energy vehicle has continued to grow, serving as a catalyst for the transformation and upgrading of our economies. Today, with RISC-V as a platform, we have a new opportunity to strengthen collaboration in chip design, open ecosystems, and industrial transformation, opening up new prospects for Brazil-China science and technology cooperation. Ladies and gentlemen, open source is not about giving up, it's about sharing. It's not about weakening competition, but advancing together. Global RISC-V Open Workshop 2025 comes at the right time, right moment. It's not only a platform for technical exchange, but also a bridge for international cooperation. We hope that through this platform, Brazil, China, and other partners countries can deepen cooperation in the following areas. First, strengthen joint research between scientific institutions to address key and core technologies. Second, promote integration of industry, economy, and research to enhance the engineering and industrial application of innovation. Third, encourage exchanges and mutual visits among young scientists, strengthen the long-term foundation for open source chip cooperation. The Chinese Embassy in Brazil will continue to support innovation cooperation between our two countries, facilitate exchanges among universities, enterprises, and developers, and actively promote deep cooperation in the open chip ecosystem. In conclusion, I extend my best wish for a successful event and a meaningful contribution from all participants. Thank you all.
Ouviremos agora as palavras do secretário de Ciência e Tecnologia para a Transformação Digital do Ministério de Ciência, Tecnologia e Inovação, senhor Henrique de Oliveira Miguel.
Vai me ajudar, professor Souza? Falo em inglês ou em português? Inglês? Sim. Just a moment, please. I substitute my speech in Portuguese for the English, but it's a very speech. Just a moment, please. Mas já adiantando em português, é um grande prazer estar com as senhoras e senhores aqui. Este realmente é um grande evento para o Ministério da Ciência e Tecnologia. É uma excelente oportunidade que temos também de apresentar aos nossos convidados algumas das ações, iniciativas e também da infraestrutura que construímos nos últimos anos na área de pesquisa, desenvolvimento e inovação em semicondutores. Nós temos aqui algumas iniciativas bastante interessantes nessa área que serão aqui apresentadas pela nossa equipe, que estará com as senhoras e senhores aqui nos próximos dias. Nessa semana, nós teremos uma programação extensa, não só aqui na USP, mas também em Campinas, promovendo iniciativas, então, na área de RISC-V, como aqui estamos chamando. Então, é muito bom estar com todos vocês aqui nesse evento, para que possamos trazer, então, além dessas informações, temos a oportunidade de compartilhar com todos as iniciativas, mas também perspectivas de interação que já estão em desenvolvimento e as próximas iniciativas. Só mais um minutinho aqui, por favor. Por um erro pessoal, eu fechei o arquivo, agora é impossível achar, né? Well. Talvez, acho que talvez fica melhor, professor Zufo.
Você fala em português e traduz.
Ok. Acho que assim fica melhor. Eu até reduzo um pouquinho a fala, porque a gente já está um pouquinho na hora. Ok. Start again now in English with support from Professor Zufo. Thank you for the patience. It's a pleasure to receive all the invited here. Hello, Mr. Bom dia a todos. É uma grande honra estar aqui hoje para compartilhar com vocês essa trajetória que o Brasil reinicia depois de muitos anos na área de semicondutores.
Welcome, everyone. It's a great pleasure receiving all of you here. And it's also a pleasure reigniting the Brazilian trajectory in semiconductors.
A estratégia brasileira construída ao longo dos anos está alicerçada em 4 pilares fundamentais: a formação de recursos humanos qualificados, a melhoria do marco regulatório de forma mais moderna e eficiente, investimento em pesquisa e desenvolvimento em tecnologias estratégicas e a implementação de mecanismos robustos de financiamento e acesso ao mercado. Está aqui, professor.
The Brazilian national strategy in semiconductors, it's a law in Brazil. It's based in 4 pillars. The training of strategic and qualified human resources, the enhancement of the regulatory framework to be more efficient and modern, investments in research and developing in strategic technologies, and finally, the implementation of robust mechanisms to funding and market access.
I like to mention more information about one of the pillars, the capacitation and the inform the talents in these areas. No campo da capacitação de talentos, estamos realizando um esforço sem precedentes. Por quê? Porque combina ações de treinamento, de interação com a indústria e com as universidades e centros de pesquisa.
We have an ambitious training program combining efforts from universities, research centers, and industry.
Gostaria de mencionar algumas instituições que são parceiras do Ministério da Ciência e Tecnologia nessa área. A Universidade de São Paulo, a Unicamp, a Universidade Federal do Rio Grande do Sul, a Unifei de Itajubá, a Universidade Federal de Campina Grande, a Universidade Federal de Santa Maria, a Universidade de Brasília, a Sociedade Brasileira de Microeletrônica.
We like to emphasize the institutions that are engaged in such challenge. The University of São Paulo, USP, the University of Campinas, Unicamp, the Federal University of Rio Grande do Sul, URGS, the Federal University of Itajubá, Unifei, the Federal University of Campina Grande, UFCG, and the Federal University of Santa Maria,
Universidade de Brasília
and the University of Brasilia, among others.
e a Associação Brasileira de Microeletrônica.
The Brazilian National Association for Semiconductors, among others.
Thank you. Essas instituições tornaram-se centros de excelência na formação de projetistas de circuitos integrados, oferecendo cursos especializados e infraestrutura de ponta.
These institutions became centers of excellence in training IC designers, offering specialized courseware and state-of-art infrastructure.
Essa iniciativa está alinhada com nossa meta de capacitar 4.000 profissionais, projetistas de chips, até 2027.
All these institutions are fully committed with an ambitious goal of training 4,000 IC designers in Brazil until 2027.
Mas é importante destacar também que, além do programa de formação e capacitação de recursos humanos, para dar mais, atrair mais interessados na área e também possibilitar uma melhor capacitação, profissionais estão sendo treinados também fora do Brasil.
The program goal is not only attracting all these designers, but catalyzing and attracting new talents, not only in Brazil, abroad Brazil, and mainly in the region of Latin America.
Nós estamos estabelecendo, então, parcerias com países aqui da América Latina e também com Europa, Portugal, Espanha, Alemanha, e também abrimos agora uma iniciativa importante de capacitação, de treinamento com Malásia e China.
So, among several countries in Latin America, we are also signing memorandum of understandings and agreements with countries like Portugal, Germany, Spain, Malaysia, and more recently, China.
É importante destacar também as iniciativas que a empresa brasileira, a CEITEC, uma empresa controlada pelo Estado, está fazendo na área de carbeto de silício. Estará sendo anunciado brevemente um acordo com importantes empresas chinesas para transferência de tecnologia nessa área.
It's also important to mention that Brazil has a state-owned semiconductor company, CEITEC, and CEITEC will do relevant announcements in few days about semiconductor processes in silicon carbide.
Ainda ligada a essa área de treinamento e capacitação de recursos humanos, gostaria de mencionar que nós temos mais de 280 instituições de pesquisa e centros de excelência, como o Instituto Eldorado, o Senai Cimatec, o LSTEC aqui na USP, que oferece uma infraestrutura bastante adequada, bastante atualizada para o desenvolvimento de projetos conjuntos.
It's important to say that we mapped more than 280 institutions in Brazil developing research in semiconductors, and among them we have the Eldorado Institute, Senai Cimatec in Bahia, and LSITEC at University of São Paulo, Brazil.
Empresas globais como Samsung, Huawei, Foxconn já reconheceram esse potencial e estabeleceram operações não só industriais, mas também com atividades de pesquisa e desenvolvimento no Brasil.
It's important to say that industry is moving towards this direction, so companies like Samsung, Huawei, Foxconn, and Samsung are also supporting the Brazilian government in such initiative.
Algumas palavras sobre a iniciativa de RISC-V.
Some words about the RISC-V initiative.
Nossa adesão ao RISC-V International e a futura criação da Associação RISC-V Brasil demonstram nosso compromisso com padrões abertos e tecnologias disruptivas.
The recent signature of partnership between the Brazilian government and RISC-V and the future creation of the RISC-V Association in Brazil shows the Brazilian compromise with open source technologies.
Gostaria de reiterar que o Brasil traz ao ecossistema RISC-V um conjunto único de vantagens competitivas, considerando os talentos que existem na América Latina.
It's important to mention that Brazil brings a new frontier to the global open source community, grabbing the incredible local talents in software and open source.
Repito, nossas instituições de classe mundial estão localizadas na USP, na Unicamp, no Instituto Eldorado, no CESA, no CPQD, no Yungang Bao, em outros centros aqui espalhados pelo país.
We like to insist the commitment of our state-of-art research organizations like Eldorado,
Aqui na USP.
USP, Unicamp, Eldorado, Cesar, CPQD, Institute Van Braun, and much others that unfortunately we cannot nominate here for the sake of time.
Esta participação no RISC-V International posiciona o Brasil não como mero consumidor de tecnologia, mas abre uma oportunidade para o desenvolvimento das próximas gerações de padrões abertos.
This adhesion of the RISC-V Global Initiative positions Brazil not only as a technology consumer, but a provider of state-of-art technologies for the whole globe.
Para concluir, gostaria de reforçar que a estratégia brasileira para semicondutores, que vai muito além dessas iniciativas aqui apresentadas, não se limita a recuperar o tempo perdido.
I like to emphasize that such initiatives are much beyond the national policy and is not only to recover the lost time, but transform Brazil on a protagonist in this topic.
As iniciativas e a estratégia brasileira visam um futuro colaborativo, sustentável, com inovação aberta e participação insistente, persistente, continuada no cenário global.
The main goal of the Brazilian national policies is to have a cooperative, sustainable, and long-term, fruitful and impactful contributions to the field.
Convidamos a todos os presentes a explorar as oportunidades de parceria através das plataformas e iniciativas em construção no Brasil ou por meio de projetos conjuntos com os nossos centros de pesquisa, universidades e empresas.
We invite all in this enormous collaborative effort and we want to have joint projects with all our research centers, universities and companies.
Meu agradecimento pessoal a todos que organizaram esse evento, um agradecimento do Ministério da Ciência e Tecnologia, o reconhecimento pela presença de todos vocês, pela participação. É muito difícil elaborar, promover, concretizar um evento dessa natureza. Meus agradecimentos ao excelente tradutor. Muito obrigado.
I would like to thank you, everyone. I'd like to recognize, in name of the Ministry of Science and Technology, this incredible work, and thank you for the translator.
Enjoy the fest grow in Brazil. Thank you very much.
Ouviremos agora as palavras do professor Dr. Raul Gonzalez Lima, pró-reitor adjunto de inovação da Universidade de São Paulo, neste ato representando a Universidade de São Paulo.
Good morning, everybody. It's our honor and pleasure to welcome all these fine scholars and government representatives and associations here present. In particular, we would like to welcome the Minister of China, Jiang Dehua, Mr. Bao from BOSC, Mr. Alessandro from MCTI, the Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation, John Hall from Linux International, Mr. Lucas, Chair of GROW, and the Secretary of Science, Technology and Innovation from the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation of Brazil, Dr. Henrique Miguel. The University of São Paulo would love to be seen as a nation-building university. And this is one of the reasons this workshop is important for us, because we believe the open source software, the RISC-V, it is one of the factors to create more geopolitical stability, peaceful international relationships. And the first person who pointed this to us was John Hall 8 years ago. Clearly, if I get the history correct, he pointed the geopolitical importance of having semiconductors and open source here in South America. And this today, the meeting today is what is a consequence of this stimulus from John Hall. Thank you very much. It was very insightful. And so we believe that it's clear now, but it was not 8 years ago, that the knowledge economy with the emerging properties of synergy and scalability, it is now a factor for this peaceful international relationships. And this is why we welcome all of you from many countries, and we are really glad with the discussions that we will have in the next hours. Please feel extremely welcome in this workshop. Thank you.
Teremos, então, neste momento, a assinatura do memorando de intenções entre a ABSEMI, Associação Brasileira de Indústria de Semicondutores, e a RVA. Pela ABSEMI, quem assina é o senhor Rogério Nunes, e pela RVA, o diretor-geral Yungang Bao.
So we will sign the Memorandum of Understanding. So please join the stage, Professor Bao and Mr. Rogério.
A live witness.
Ouviremos agora as palavras do senhor Rogério Nunes, presidente da ABSEMI e também presidente e CEO da Zilha.
Thank you very much. Mr. Jiang Dehua, Minister Counselor of the China Embassy, and in his name, I would like to compliment all the Chinese members in Brazil. Minister Henrique Miguel from the Ministry of Science and Technology, and on his name, I would like to compliment all the officers and government members in Brazil. Mr. Raul Gonzalez, the Pro-Rector of the University of São Paulo, and in his name, all the University of São Paulo members, Mr. Marcelo Zufo, and on his name, all of the academic and professors, doctors, PhD here present. Today is a milestone of the technology developing its history in Brazil. ABSEMI is very proud to be part of it, by invitation and guidance of the Ministry of Science and Technology, and with the strong support of the RISC-V Working Committee of China Electronics Standardization Association. A cooperation agreement was just signed today, which the main objectives are enhance communication and cooperation within the semiconductor industry, support and facilitate a cooperative industry environment, strengthen exchange and cooperation with the RISC-V industry, promote the sustainable developing of semiconductor and RISC-V industry, The importance of RISC-V for Brazil lies in the potential to contribute to a national technology independence, especially in the semiconductor and advanced component sectors. RISC-V open architecture allows the country to develop its own technology, reducing dependence of the foreign makers, and promote innovation in areas such as semiconductor development, computing, supercomputing, and artificial intelligence. The major advantage of RISC-Vs are technological independence, because RISC-V is an open architecture, and Brazil has the opportunity to create its own projects and own products. Promote semiconductor sector. The developing of semiconductor sector is crucial to the country economy and to its social development. RISC-V utilization allow Brazil to create customized chips and components for various applications. High-performance computing and artificial intelligence. Brazil can benefit from the use of RISC-V to develop innovative solutions in these fields. I'm very excited about the opportunity to work together, RVI and Ministry of Science and Technology, to strong utilization of the RISC-V technology in Brazil. Thank you very much.
Ouviremos agora as palavras do professor Yungang Bao.
Distinguished Mr. Herrick, distinguished Chancellor Jiang Dehua, and distinguished Mr. Mingro and Mr. Rongorio. Yeah. Thanks for your time. And on behalf of REI, which stands for RISC-V Ecosystem and Industry, I want to also thank Alexandro. So where is that? Yeah, Alexandro and Peter for coordinating this ceremony. And I also want to thank USP professors, from all the professors from USP hosting this workshop and ceremony. And also thank all the students and guests and the people from UNICAP and other organizations for witnessing this MOU signing ceremony. I think today is a very good start point for Brazil and China to cooperate in RISC-V. RISC-V is open source, and open source is an important mode for science and technology development, as well as education, which are the aspiration for all universities, academic institutions, and even countries. Based on this MOU, we can create a lot of programs, like training program, as mentioned by Mr. Herrick, to help more industries and more individuals. And I think this workshop has a very good name, GROW. And I think both Brazil and China need to grow prosperity. I hope by open source, by RISC-V, we can grow together. Thank you very much.
Anunciamos o encerramento desta cerimônia de abertura e passo agora a condução dos trabalhos para o professor Marcelo Zufo.
Bem, vamos começar. A palavra está com o Lucas, que organizou o programa.
Good morning again, everyone. It's a pleasure to introduce our opening keynote speaker, Professor Yungang Bao. Professor Bao is Deputy Director of the Institute of Computing Technology at the Chinese Academy of Sciences. He's also a co-founder of the Beijing Institute of Open Source Chip and a key leader in China's RISC-V ecosystem, serving as board member of RISC-V International. His research spans computer architecture, agile chip development, and data center systems. Many of us, myself included, have made extensive use of the Parsec benchmark suite, which Professor Bao helped develop early in his career. Since then, he's gone on to lead major open source initiatives, including the Xiangshan project, a high-performance RISC-V core, and the One Student, One Chip initiative, which helps students gain real-world experience in processor design. His work has been consistently published in top venues in computer architecture and systems, and he's received numerous awards, including the RISC-V International Technical Leadership Award and the CCF IEEE CS Young Scientist Award. On a personal note, it's been a privilege to collaborate with Professor Bao in shaping this event. His leadership in the RISC-V community, both technically and strategically, has been a major influence on Grow's vision. It's an honor to have him open our program today. Please join me in welcoming Professor Yungang Bao.
Hello? That's fine. Okay. Thank you very much for the introduction. Today, I'm going to introduce our perspective on open source chip. So the title is Embracing the Era of Open Source Chip. So my talk will be including 4 parts. First, why we needed open source chip ecosystem. So yes, we are facing a new wave of a revolution in chip design. Just as the moment that RISC-V was selected as the 10 breakthrough technology for the year of 2023 by MIT Technology Review. So the reason is this chip design, RISC-V, is a chip design that can change everything. So from our perspective, I think RISC-V is the foundation for the open source chip ecosystem, which can lower the barrier of chip development by saving the time to market, the cost of IPs, EDA tools, and engineers. So the OSCE consists of several parts. First is open source IPs, SOCs, and the open source languages, IET tools. We need also agile and faster verification and simulation methodology, as well as open source software stack, including operating system compilers. In total, put them all together, we needed some platforms to contain all those components. So those elements can provide more than 90% lines of code reusable with the open source. And then customers only need to do some customization design by programming, for example, less than 10% lines of code. This is our envision for the future open source chip ecosystem. In particular, from our perspective, there are 3 levels of open source chip ecosystem. This is a typical design flow for chip. So we consider there are 3 levels of open source chip ecosystem. The first level is whether the instruction set is open or closed. And then the second level, level 2, is whether the design and the implementation are open source or closed. And the final, level 3, is a tool, whether tools and the infrastructure are open or closed. So yes, RISC-V actually plays the most important part for the level 1. RISC-V is an open standard and the foundation for the open source for the chip ecosystem at the level 1. My institute is affiliated with Chinese academic science and also the Beijing Institute of Open Source Chip, BOSC. So Chinese CAS and BOSC focus on level 2 and level 3 of open source chip ecosystem. Yes, BOSC's mission is to advance the OSCE by bridging the gap between academia and industry. Well, here are some overview of the CAS and BOSC projects. For example, we have launched the open source chip core in 2020. We also launched the open source EDA toolchain in 2020. We launched an education initiative called One Student, One Chip initiative in 2019. Well, next I will introduce some projects. For example, the first project was the Xiangshan project. Yes, the Xiangshan is an open source high performance RISC-V core, which is already widely used by both industry and the research community, just like the Linux for the open source operating system. Well, Xiangshan is the performance. This is a high performance RISC-V core, so its performance is competitive with ARM's high-end CPU IPs. For example, like ARM Cortex A76, and the third generation of Xiangshan is comparable with the ARM Neurons N2. But it is worth noting that the Xiangshan core is all open sourced. Well, this is one of the most active open source projects. On GitHub, for example, there are more than like 6,000 stars and 770 forks on the GitHub. This is the micro architecture overview of the Xiangshan. We have two tiers of Xiangshan core. One is called the Kunminghu. This is very high performance. And the second is the Nanhu. This is compared with ARM Cortex A76. This is a power efficient core. We have already done several tape outs, and one tape out was done 2 years ago. This is very high performance. The frequency can reach 2.5 gigahertz, and now we have the Kunminghu KHM version 2 is ready for tape out. The performance, the frequency can reach to 3 gigahertz. Here is some like test chip. This is actually the test chip was taped out by the third-party company, and here is this is a video, but oops, okay, that's fine. This is Fedora has been ported on the Xiangshan core. Okay, Xiangshan supported both industry and academia. There are extensive usable applications from the industry. And for example, this is a prototype evaluation for a startup. One startup in Beijing, they just spent 2 weeks to integrate the Xiangshan, the dual-core Xiangshan into their SoCs. For the right part, Xiangshan has become the effective platform for research. Some research group from all over the world, like for example, research group from EPFL and some research group from Duke University, they have been using Xiangshan for their research. I just noticed that, notified that there's one ICT-CAS paper this year from EPFL using Xiangshan. Well, next is how we build Xiangshan. Actually, we use an agile chip development methodology. I will introduce for some details. First is we borrow the idea from the object programming concept. So we propose the object-oriented architecture. This is a new chip design methodology. Rather than describe a chip in the circuit level, we describe chip at object level. Object, this is common concepts from object programming. Yes, we constructed Xiangshan as classes. Yeah, leverage the object-oriented programming concepts, such as like encapsulation, like inheritance and polymorphism. So the whole Xiangshan CPU design is divided into more than 1,000 classes. Some including like data interface classes, and hardware module classes, configuration classes, and so forth. Yes, we use Chisel for the object-oriented architectural design. So compared to Verilog-based design, Chisel-based design achieved the same quality, but with only 1/5 lines of code. We did some quantitative comparison between Chisel-based design and Verilog-based design. So there are some data show that they can achieve the same design quality as in terms of PPA, power, performance, and area, but only need 1/5 lines of code. So use Chisel, we only took 3 months to implement the Xiangshan versions 1, the first generation, in 3 months. And then for even today, the whole Xiangshan project only consists of about 220 kilo lines of code. This is still a middle-sized project. Since this is a middle-sized project, it is still easy to manage. In other words, if we use like Verilog, probably the project, the lines of code will increase to 1 million lines of. That will be a huge project, not easy to manage. Yeah. And yes, there are some problems. Of course, there are some challenges. Just as Professor Babak Fasafi pointed out, what is missing in Agile hardware design? Verification. Yes, verification is extremely challenging for those Agile chip design. So we needed to deal with the obstacle between the Xiangshan and the industry deployment. Since this is an open source project, almost all companies, they have concerns about the quality of open source. Since they will say, okay, this is a project for academia, and this probably, sometimes academia projects, they view academia projects as toys. And this is also an open source project. Since there are no industry-grade open source project, they have concerns. It is understandable. Then what we have done, we build a rigorous verification framework at 4 levels. This is, we build the whole verification process according to the industry grade. And then we have leveraged many tools, including commercial tools and open source tools, and some self-built tools. We also verify the open source project at 4 levels, from unit test to integrate test to system test, and then the prototype testing at 4 levels of verification. Since next is we also build a platform of Agile verification platform. Why we need a new platform? Because previously there is a loop between design and verification, and there are many existing verification tools, EDA tools. This is a loop has been used for decades. Since we are using Chisel, this is a new language, and there are no new EDA tools to match like Chisel languages. That is why we needed to build a new platform, the Agile verification platform, which consists of more than 20 new tools for function verification and performance verification. It was noting that the platform are all open sourced. So this new platform consists of more than 20 new open source tools, and they are also selected to be selected as actually micro top picks for the year of 2020. Well, we also built an interesting platform. This is called a Unity Chip. This is a crowdsourcing-based platform for chip verification. It supports crowdsourcing. It is based on cloud, and it supports multiple languages like Python, like Java. So users can only write a test case in Java or in Python And it's also compatible with the UVM traditional verification framework. Our ultimate goal is to involve software engineers to participate in chip verification. It works, yes, it is effective. And we did some experiments, and the result shows that the 5 undergraduate students, they found 10 bugs on the platform in 2 months. And it is also easy to use. One student this is freshman, just a graduate from high school and the universities, he only spent 5 days to learn use on the platform, and then he spent another 10 days, start writing a test case. We also organized the Unity chip competition for Xiangshan. We divided Xiangshan into dozens of components, and then those components will be assigned on the platform, and the students and people can log in the platform to attend the competition. Now there are almost 300 teams participate in the competition. Okay, finally, I want to introduce who are involving in the open source projects. Here, I will introduce one initiative called One Student, One Chip. This is an educational initiative. It was launched by the University of Chinese Academy of Science, ICT-CAS, in 2019. We follow the philosophy of learning by doing. We want to teach undergrad students to build real chips. Okay, this is the slogan of One Student, One Chip logo. Okay, for the first term of One Student, One Chip, which was launched in 2019, there were 5 senior undergraduate students. They participate in the initiative, and they completed the design of a 64 RISC-V processor in 4 months, and the chip was taped out in the SIMC 110 nanometer technology, and it was able to run Linux and also a self-built UCAS core operating system. Here is the chip. The chip was called Nutshell. This is a Linux-compatible RISC-V processor designed by undergraduate students. Well, the students was demonstrating their design on their thesis defense on the June 2nd, 2020. Okay. Now, OSOC is expanding to the whole country and also outside China. Already more than 10,000 students from 800 universities participate in the OSOC initiative. The initiative have already trained more than 2,000 talents over the past 6 years. Here are some examples of their design. For example, here, this is the layouts of students' design. Each color represents one student's design. This is a RISC-V core. And the chip will be shipped to fab, and finally the chip will back and will be equipped on the board, the PCB board. Okay, students are testing the chip and brought up the chips and run applications on their chips. Okay, all those chips will be equipped on the PCB board, and the board will be delivered to students who participate in the One Student, One Chip initiative and pass the exam. You know, they need to pass the exam and finally get their chips. Okay, when they received the chip and they brought up chips at home, at lab, at dorm, yeah, they are sharing their experience of bringing up their chips. I'd like to share a story. This is a professor from Kazakhstan. So he noticed the One Student, One Chip 2 years ago, and they came to Beijing and said that they want to introduce the initiative to their university. And over the last year, they spent 1 year to finish the design. And this is the first locally designed chip in Kazakhstan. Yes, the chip was a RISC-V CPU core, and it is taped out in the TSMC 28 nanometer technology, and the frequency is 400 megahertz. This is a single board computer. It supports like I2C and RTL and LED and so forth. The chip can run some applications, for example, like a real-time operating system, even run like a large language model to generate a story. Yes, so this is, although this is a chip for education, but it is still functional for some AI applications. Okay, actually the chip was taped out, we leverage some open source EDA tool. So finally, I want to introduce our open source EDA tools. They call IEDA. This tool chain is supporting from RTL to GDS. It has an open source EDA infrastructure and tools. We started the project in 2020. It consists of 11 tools, already more than like 400,000 lines of code. We have taped out 6 times. Yes. And also support open PDK, like ICS 55 and IHP and Skyward 130 nanometer technology. Here is some tape outs. For example, all those chips are works. We have completed 6 tape outs. The latest tape out with IEDA, this is RISC-V, the RISC-V SoC of 101 chip. And there's also a test chip for the AI assisted EDA tool. Okay, so finally, we want to leverage the IEDA to support not only 101 chip, but also the Xiangshan. So in the future, we are working on using IEDA to complete a tape out for Xiangshan. Okay, this is summary. So RISC-V we are facing the new area of open source chip, and the RISC-V is the foundation for the new area. So it is the best time for us to build a globally shared open source chip ecosystem. So let's together contribute to the ecosystem. Thank you very much.
Professor Bao, do we have time for some questions? Okay, so we have time for some discussion, so if anyone has a question, I can bring the microphone up to you so we can share with our online audience as well. Well, let me start with a question then, Professor Bao. You mentioned some resistance in industry, in accepting these chips that, although they're very robust, they have great performance, they come from an academic project, so there's some fear there. You also mentioned that you have a lot of designs based on Chisel, and Chisel is very associated with RISC-V, open source. Do you see resistance about Chisel in the industry? Do you see Chisel gaining more acceptance recently?
Yeah, you mean how to deal with the resistance from using Chisel from industry, right? So this is, okay, let me go back to the slides. Yes, since Chisel is new for industry, and most companies are still using Verilog-based design. But initially, companies, they have some many concerns about Chisel-based design. But we did several, there are some efforts we have made. First is we did some quantitative experiments to show Chisel-based design can achieve the same quality with Verilog. This is this is very important. Some company in China, for example, like Huawei, they already has a team inside Huawei to build Qishou-based libraries. So since this work was done in 2018, already 7 years ago, and we have promoted Qishou in China in many companies. Some companies already accepted the results. Second is EDA tools. EDA tools is pretty important. So we have, okay, here. For verification, actually, this verification process flow is can support both Verilog and Qishou. We have built many tools for the second part, tools. Some are commercial tools. They are based on Verilog, since Qishou can generate Verilog. So then the Verilog codes will be input commercial tools. Mm-hmm. And then we also have self-built tools. We build, for example, we have built 20 new tools. Okay, this one. We have built more than 20 new tools. All those tools are based on Qishou. They can close the loop between Verilog and Qishou. For example, when there was a bug found in the netlist level, and they can trace back to Qishou codes. They can like troubleshooting at which lines of Qishou codes. So then the whole loop is already formed.
So you can trace back from the application all the way down to
Yes.
specific line in Qishou
Yes.
code.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Another question I had was, you mentioned this one student, one chip initiative. I'm sure many of us here are curious, is there a possibility of joining this program? This sounds like an excellent opportunity for
Yeah.
students.
Of course, one student, one chip is open to not only Chinese university, but also universities outside China. For example, like the university in Kazakhstan. So they just come to us and we have some collaboration. And then they start a course at their university and recruit some students. And finally, they finish the design. They send the design to us and we tape out for their design.
That's great. Do you have any more questions for Professor Bao?
No.
Please.
Hello, thank you very much for your presentation. I would like to understand better about if all the designs of these students are fabricated and if they have the opportunity to test their chips, and how can you do it? How long does it take to have the chip back, and about the costs, just to understand if it's done for all of them. And another question that I have is about the openness of these tools. So are they totally open? The code are open, or is it open to use? Do we have to pay something? How does it work exactly? Yeah, thank you.
The question is whether all those tools are open sourced. It's free or charged, right? Now the answer is all open sourced and free, since you can. Here is, for example, all those tools. You can find those tools on GitHub, all are open sourced, and the EDA tool is also open sourced. So we have a here. You can just download from GitHub and use the tool. Here, yes, we provide 2 links. This is the IEDA on GitHub. You can just download it, and we actually right now there's a tutorial in Germany. We are going to give some tutorial about the open source EDA tool, and feel free to use And but if you have any question, please send your question to us, and we will we will answer your questions.
Her first question was, what type of turnaround time does it take for the student to have their design, go to the fab, and then get the chip back from the fab?
Okay. Yeah, usually the design time is flexible, since up to students' initial capability. Some students, they have good basic skills, so the time is short, but some students probably take more than like 6 months, even 1 year. And for tape out, usually to tape out, the long time is 3 months, usually 3 months. And after chip was back, and we usually take 1 more month for testing chip, and finally send the chip with the PCB board equipped with the chip to students.
First, thank you for the fantastic initiative for the design, and this turnaround time is very impressive, even for a full-grown engineer in the area. I would like to ask about the open source initiative in your tools. You mentioned you were designing in 7 nanometer, so your open source tools are achieving tape outs in 7 nanometer already, because I'm working for several years already in open lane, open road tools, and we never gone under 65 with them. So if you're already in 7 nanometer, this will be a great achievement for open source EDA tools. Thank you.
Okay, so this is I need to clarify, since there are 2 projects, currently 2 separate projects. One is the high-performance open source RISC-V core. This is currently not taped out with open source EDA tool yet, since it is still the open source EDA tool is only be able to support. Currently, it's like SIMC 110. And the TSMC 28 nanometer. But the TSMC 28, we still need some like DRC as sign-off tools, since we cannot complete the whole flow with open source EDA tool. But SIMC 110 is okay. Tape out. Yes. Here, let me show the slides here. Okay, this one. For example, the up to tape outs are in 110 nanometer technology. So all those the tape out are fully supported by open source EDA tool. And the 28 nanometer, only partially, since the sign-off tool still need commercial tools. PDK, okay, there are some open PDK, I know in Europe, like IHP, it's open. And in China, there is open PDK. It's in the Zhejiang University. They provide, this is the ICS, you see ICS 55. This is a fab run by a university in Zhejiang province. They provide open PDK for 55 nanometer technology. Okay.
Thank you for that explanation. I would like to go back to the question a little bit about the cost of this tape out in this, not exactly right, but just a ballpark. And is you said it's not in the mainland, right? It's TSMC, Is there tape-outs on the universities, as you were saying, or in other factories, or is everything there in TSMC? I always forget the name. Yes, exactly. On this program.
So the question is about the cost of tape-out. Actually, there are several different projects. For the Xiangshan project, this is a high-end RISC-V core, so the tape-out is run by companies. We just provide IPs, and the company, they will build a SoC and a tape-out in their channel, from their channel. And for the one student, one chip initiative, and we tape out by ourselves. And since we have some technology to reduce the cost per tape out per die, since you will see here, well, for example, for the layout, actually for this die includes 10 designs from 10 students. And then each student, the cost per student is reduced by 1/10. Currently, it's only the cost is only about less than $2,000 US for one student, but the cost can be further reduced. Yeah. Okay.
Hi, Rogério. Thanks for sharing this presentation with us. You gave a lot of nice information. Is this methodology only digital, or do you include analog also in the process?
Yeah, very
in the
good
methodology.
Question. Currently only for digital, not for analog yet. Yeah. But in the future, we will provide some analog IPs, open source IPs. Yeah. Okay, thanks.
So I think the building a hardware is very difficult, but without software, it's nothing really meaningless. So there is Dr. Wu Yunjin's program also having the similar counterparts, that having support for the software ecosystem development as well. So if there is some people who are interested in software ecosystem and then qualifying, training high qualified personnel, probably talk with Dr. Wu for the discussions.
Yeah. Next session, I will introduce another program like one student, one chip.
Yeah.
It's called open source promotion plan. The counterpart of Dr. Bao's project. Okay. Yeah.
Do we have any other questions for Professor Bao?
Hello, nice talk. In this set of tools you have for open software, do you have, for example, included memory generators or other IP generators included in this set of tools? Memory generators, for example, or register file generators.
You mean, do we have a memory generator? For those IPs? Do you mean besides CPU IP and other IPs?
Yes, other IPs, because talk about the CPU. We need also to have, for example, caches, memories, and other models like that, and they are very complex to design. So normally when you have a PDK, you have also in the PDK a memory generator or a register file generator. So in these tools, these models are included in the open tools or are not included?
Yes, currently the open source EDA does not include those IPs. This is just an EDA tool for physical design from RTL to GDS. And for the memory, I think for digital IPs, we currently provide CPU IP. And we are working on memory controller IP and some like USB IP. So, but you mentioned the memory IP. This probably is at the lower level, since this is for the physical design level, not for the architecture design level. Probably, my understanding is this should be they are at the different levels. Maybe we can talk offline.
Well, please join me in thanking Professor Bao again.
Thank you.
Now we'll have a short break and we'll reconvene at 11:15, I think, right? So if you're speaking in the next session, please find Professor Sandro Rigo here up front so we can coordinate.